Summary of Beowulf. Beowulf is the epic adventure story of a heroic young prince who saves a neighboring kingdom by destroying both a troll-like monster and the monster's avenging mother. Later in life, King Beowulf must face a dragon and his own mortality when his own kingdom is threatened. The story is actually a 3000-line poem composed in Old English in the 8th century, and was the first English language story to be written down. The author is unknown and is simply called the Beowulf Poet. The story takes place in the early to mid 6th century and consists of two parts. The first begins with young Prince Beowulf of the Geats. Geatland is the same as the modern-day island of Gotland, which lies in the Baltic Sea just east of Sweden. To the south, in Denmark, King Hrothgar of the Danes is being terrorized by a ravaging troll-like monster called Grendel. Grendel hates the sounds of happiness and celebrating, so every night he comes to King Hrothgar's magnificent feasting hall to kill and eat the king's men. This has been going on for 12 years when Prince Beowulf arrives unannounced with a small band of men.
Hello everyone, my name is Yusuf Sinait, and today I will be telling you the epic of Beowulf. Beowulf and his small band of men arrives unannounced, and Beowulf says he has heard of the trouble and he wants to destroy the monster. King Hrothgar agrees to let Beowulf try, even though he knows that no sword can cut through Grendel's skin. He offers drink and food and leaves Beowulf and his small band of men in feasting hall. Beowulf and his men start celebrating loudly and boisterously in order to lure Grendel, and it works. Grendel comes to attack Beowulf and his men and kills one of Beowulf's men. But this time he has met his match. For Beowulf, making no attempt to use sword, he battles Grendel hand to hand and succeeds in tearing apart monster's arm at the shoulder. Grendel flees the feasting hall and runs into the wild, and he dies. All the warriors start celebrating, but the threat is by no means over. Grendel's mother, who has no name in poem, or it's not described as human or as monster in poem. Next night, she comes for revenge and kills one of Hrothgar's best fighters and leaves. But Beowulf follows her to her lair, which is a cavern at the bottom of a lake. Same as before, with Grendel, a fierce battle took place that is largely hand to hand. That was the end of part 2. Thanks for listening.
I'm Mehmet. I'm 16. Eventually, as the fight continues, Beowulf sees a great sword on the cavern wall and is able to use it to behead Grendel's mother. Also in the cavern is the body of Grendel. Beowulf beheads it as well. The blood from the monster dissolves the great sword and leaves only the hilt. After getting back to the feasting hall, Beowulf is richly rewarded by King Hrothgar with both gifts and honors. Prince Beowulf then returns in triumph to his home and family on the island of Geatland. The second part of the story opens some 50 years later, where the aged Beowulf is now the king of Geatland. It seems that a golden cup has been stolen from a dragon, enraging the beast so that it burns the countryside looking for its treasure. Beowulf sets out to fight the dragon, and even though his warriors go with him, he says he will face the creature alone. The battle is a terrible one, and Beowulf is beginning to lose. His men flee to the forest, feeling that they can do nothing against such an enemy. Yet one man does find the courage to remain with King Beowulf.
Hello, my name is Musa. I am 15 years old. I am in ŞEHİT Mehmet Güder High School. Now let's talk about Beowulf. Beowulf and together they killed the dragon. Beowulf, however, has sustained a mortal wound and dies soon after the battle. The king is given a hero's funeral with his body burnt on a pyre. His people then built a great mound near the edge of the sea in Beowulf's memory. The first part of the poem is that of a young prince on the way up. So to speak, Beowulf wants to prove himself worthy of being a king by undertaking a heroic task. And he finds it in the plight of King Radgar and his endless battle against the monster and his mother. This section ends happily and triumphantly, with the monster destroyed. Beowulf goes home with everyone knowing that he deserves to be a king. By contrast, the second part of the poem is that of an old king nearing the end of his life. Beowulf knows that he will soon meet the fate that comes to all men, but he is at peace because he has done his duty well as a hero and a king in the modern era. The epic poem Beowulf first appeared in print in 1815, one of its most popular translations completed in 1926 and published in 2014 was done by the renowned author and linguist J.R.R. Tolkien of the Lord of the Rings fame. See you later.
Hello, I am Murat. I study at ŞEHİT Mehmet Güder High School. Now let's talk about Beowulf. Even though it contains many scenes of violence and Tolkien compared it more to a sad song for a king than to an action story, some scholars consider Beowulf to be a more uplifting work than some of the typical heroic stories from the same time period. This is because, as these scholars have noted, Beowulf does not prove himself by fighting other warriors, other men. His battles are against the evil and monstrous creatures that threaten not only his own kingdom but those around him. For this reason, the poem is sometimes considered to be an ancient allegory. The story of Beowulf remains popular into the 21st century. The poem is still taught in literature classes, of course, and it has been made into motion pictures several times. The best known is probably big budget version released in 2007, which stays fairly close to the original story and could serve as an introduction for a student before reading the actual translated poem.